to ask a lot of questions. So briefly before we jump into the webinar itself, introduce ourselves. I'm Chris, I'm the CEO and co-founder here. Many of you already know me. I have a background as both a CPA and a data scientist, and I specialized in forensic analytics. We have our new, relatively new, not so new anymore, head of institutional sales who will be giving the demo. Buddy, do you want to give yourself a quick intro?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So like Chris mentioned, I recently joined as institutional or head of institutional sales. I have a background working in sell-side research and a bit of longer background working in different fintech platforms for the investing space. So kind of combining those sets of knowledge, I've had a chance to speak with everyone. But yeah, I'll leave it there.
Perfect. And I am sharing the screen that says your hosts, right? Fantastic. And our AMA will be with Suhas. Suhas, I'll have you give an intro later on, but just briefly, author of Designing Large Language Model Applications, really at the forefront of applied AI research. He's chaired the Toronto Machine Learning Summit. What is it? It's 5 times now? It's not 4. Oh, you're on mute. I'm gonna assume it's 10. Just kidding.
It's 5, yeah.
It's 5, yeah. Really incredible contributions to open source research, including the Bloom project, which is the largest multilingual model of its time, bigger than GPT-3, and many other projects like that. If you're not familiar with Hudson Labs, go look us up. We specialize in high precision AI, an alternative to chatbot style work. If you're not familiar with or not familiar with us, we have many differentiating features, but our most well-known would be our sort of solving the long context or multi-document problem. I imagine many of you have run into this. If you're using a generalist piece of AI, you try to ask for multi-period metrics and get garbage. I guess that's not the polite way of putting it, but here you can see I'm looking for American Eagle store trends. In this instance, there are 2 problems. One is that the numbers are wrong, but often the more annoying problem is that it's not really what I was looking for. I'm only getting 2 store-specific KPIs out of maybe 10 that American Eagle reports. We solve this with specialized architecture and focus on many other equity research specific AI tasks. If you're interested in more practical examples of how to use AI outside of agents and automations, I highly, highly recommend signing up for our newsletter. You get 2 examples a week, which you can rerun and save in your own environment, even if you're already a customer, worth signing up and seeing how other people are using their tool. Maybe there's something that you've missed that you're not currently integrating. This isn't exactly the poll, but do you want to launch the first poll, buddy? Yeah, I assume this is the version we launched. I'm assuming everyone's going to say yes. So I'm just going to, oh, can I keep going? Yes. Keep going here while you answer that question. So let's get back to basics here before we demo specific ideas for how you can fully automate your workflows. Let's define an agent. So first, we're going to give Suhas's definition of an agent and then talk about how it's being used colloquially. And the colloquial definition is probably more relevant for our lives in understanding what people are talking about in the news and when vendors come to you. So technically, an agent should be an LLM-driven or AI-driven piece of software where the LLM is making decisions autonomously and interacting with your work environment. Pretty cool. There are absolutely agents in use today. For instance, the Hudson Labs source selection model, which is a component of the backend you use in the co-analyst, is an agent, although it's not what most people think of when they think of an agent. That said, most people, when they refer to agents, they're referring to any software solution that automates a workflow, a task, and has an LLM component. So when we're talking about automations, we'll use automations and agents interchangeably, even though they may not meet Suhas's textbook definition of an agent. Anyone have any burning questions on the definition of an agent before we go on? I would love to know, have any of you tried automating workflows already using any of these tools? So as agents have become more popular, we've seen more traditional software integration or no-code integration software become a lot popular. Things like Zapier, N8N, et cetera, have been popular among the tech community for a long time. And we're increasingly seeing customers incorporate these tools in their own work, which is really cool to see. And one of the things that inspired us to launch our agents or automations in the style that we did. I'm going to give everyone a chance to respond to this one. Once we've given people a chance to respond, buddy, can we publish the results in a place everyone can see them? Okay, so Hudson Labs agents or automations, what are they? Think about running custom queries based on a trigger. That's triggers can be lots of different things in the external environment, like an upcoming calendar date, maybe an earnings calendar. You can see a few of our triggers below, including new document processing, earnings previews, price schedules. And you can get alerts for those custom queries based on triggers in email and in platform. Something that's really cool, if you are using a tool like Zapier, if you're using Hudson Labs automations, you have built-in information that an no-code automation tool wouldn't have, like the exact time that an earnings call is over, when a proxy goes up. Price change information is pretty difficult to integrate into a no-code tool like Zapier. So we've built this out for you so that you can do things like this. These are our most common automations. So automating earnings summaries or earnings excerpts is our most common, and Buddy will give you a much more in-depth look at each of these. But you can move beyond just summaries and go from just summarizing an earnings call to extracting very specific pieces of information for a specific watch list or sector. Earnings previews, market monitoring based on price changes, reviewing Ks or Qs for specific red flags. I have a ton I've set up because, as many of you know, I am a bit fraud obsessed. Checking proxies for incentive updates, looking for the read through the impact of something on other industries, model update details, etc. You just posted the results from the poll there, Buddy. I didn't have a chance to look at it. Anything interesting?
Interesting. Quite a lot of other people using other automation tools. So very interested to hear from people what those are.
Oh yeah. So if you selected other in the last poll, type out what that is in chat. Send it to us. We'd really love to know. Okay. With that, I'm going to transition to the practical side here, where we show you how we've set these up for ourselves and common ways that our current customers are getting or early users are getting value out of automations. Hopefully this starts to trigger some ideas for you. Please feel free to call out ideas for things you'd like to see in the future. questions about what's currently possible, other query ideas as we go through this demo. Buddy, take it away. Sorry, before you take it away, just a note. So you can communicate with us in chat and just communicate with us directly. Let us know what you're using. I'd love to know. But if you have a question and you would prefer to remain anonymous, you can use the Q&A functionality.
Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for passing that over, Chris. And obviously, I've had a lot of opportunities to be able to talk with a lot of the current customers, a lot of people trialing out the demos. So I've had a lot of opportunity to see how they're being best used and maybe some of the ideas that people have for them going forward, as well as just trying to automate some of the workflows I used to do on the sell side and some of the work I used to do for my clients. So I'm just going to individually go through just over 10 different specific examples here and show you how to be able to set these up within our platform as well. So the first one here being the most obvious use case for setting up a regular investing workflow being an earnings breakdown after it has happened. So here's an example, one I have set up for the Mag 7 names, where it's giving you a quick year-over-year breakdown and the drivers that's driving those factors. Just to give you a sense with the automations, you are able to set up both the content library and the web-based querying, which means you can do multiple. So as an example here, I have the whole like actual print from the source filings being broken down, and then down below I have the call summary as well. To show you how to set these up, when you land into the platform, whenever you're in the platform, you're always able to go to your profile icon in the top right hand and go down to automations. Just a quick note here, you're able to easily see the amount of queries and different tickers of all the automations you have set up and trigger them on and off if you want them running or not. And you are able to audit what has actually ran and been delivered to you through here. But getting into the actual setting up of the automations, to show you how I set the last one up, the earnings one, I have it set up for the Mag 7. And when there is a new earnings transcript, I click here. And then down here, I'm adding in the earnings summary and the call summary. An important note here for people, especially if you haven't had a chance to actually get a demo or are using the platform, these outputs are very similar to the outputs you're actually, or the same outputs you're getting when you're in the actual platform. So you can use your saved queries, use our suggested queries, or come up with more custom queries to get more exactly what you're looking for. Obviously for earnings, these ones are more general, but you can add up to 5 of these at once. And then you are able to just quickly publish it like this. But you're also able to test and audit the outputs as you're making them here.
Buddy, just
Yeah.
so people know, we suggest using your own saved queries, but you can also, because then you know what they're going to look like, you don't have to wait for the test to run. But can you show people what it looks like to just write out a custom query ad hoc?
Yep. So to add queries here, you go down and add here, and this is going to be the same similar customized query box you're going to see within the platform, and you are able to put any type of information you're looking for and set the time period that you want it of the source filings you want it to look at and the actual source filing output type here.
Or just hit
And
recommended and not worry about anything. Either one.
yeah, yeah. Again, so to publish this, I could test this and just wait 30 or 40 seconds and it will deliver to my inbox, and I can then publish it once I'm happy with the results. So that was an earnings summary. That was obviously the most generic and simple example. But one really popular one that I've been getting a lot of good feedback from people on is setting up earnings previews. So up here, this is new document triggers, but you can go down and set a certain amount of time before a company reports. And this will obviously, you're going to want to use a different set of
Sorry, buddy,
queries.
you're
So you
breaking
can-
up for me. Is anyone else experiencing that? Okay, just start again from your last sentence.
Okay. Yeah. But so like you could set up for new documents, you can set up earnings previews to trigger before a company's reports. Obviously, we have the information on when a company is reporting. So you could go in and highlight all the current guidance, which is all the guidance that we're expecting for this upcoming quarter. And then you would also be able to add a suggested query, which I have an example of here, which is going through to the web and doing an external channel check of any factors that could have influenced that quarter after the date of the company's last guidance. Just to show you what this looks like. This is all of the current guidance that was expected for Apple's general, the full year guidance, and the individual company quarter guidance for Q1, and all the individual factors that you may be looking at. An important note here, if you aren't familiar with our current guidance model, it is a specific LLM that is designed around picking up all of the forward-looking statements in a call, not just the more formal like revenue and EPS guidance that is given. A good example of that is just more soft guidance, like Apple returned to growth in Q1 in China. So that's something we've been looking for in this quarter's earnings. And then going further down, as you can see here, I went and did a web-based query, which you're able to identify the source that used web here, and kind of done a broader search around the web to see if there's anything that we should be looking at or considering going into this earnings report. Another good example of this is like bringing in AI-powered features from the conference they had.
Before you move to the next type of automation, someone's asked an earnings specific question that I'm going to answer quickly, which is how quickly are earnings calls processed by us? S&P Cap IQ is our supplier, in case you're not already so aware. So our delays mirror theirs more or less. So that can be anywhere from 30 minutes to 2.5 hours after the call.
All right, to move on to the next example. And again, maybe trying to get some more leverage out of being able to do web-based querying. You can set up alerts based on price change, if it's happening in one day or rolling price change. And I'll show you what this looks like up here. An important thing to note here when you're running these queries is to be very specific with the time frame. So for an example, like if I'm asking like what's driving the stock price, it's going to go to the web and not really have much to go off. But if you're setting these triggers up, if it's a one-day trigger, you want to make it more specific, saying what's driving the massive change in share price, very like most recently in the last day. This one is obviously over a more of a like 10-day rolling time frame. So you'd want to run a query saying what has been influencing the stock price over the last few weeks, for example. And then it's going to go do a web-based search looking for factors that is driving the share price.
And an important reminder here, just that some people forget that we do offer the option to, I know that Buddy mentioned this before, but we offer the option to use web-based sources or our default content library. When you're using the web-based search, it is going to feel more like a generalist tool. but it means that you can access all possible web-based sources through the co-analyst very, very naturally and include both web and SEC filing-based queries in the same email.
And just to show you or reiterate how to set that up, you would go to new query up here, and I would specify that I'm looking for the web. And put it in here and add the query. So moving on, some other popular queries that people have been doing and getting a lot more creative with, and these ones are really, I guess, designed around the type of process that you're doing and how often you're looking for more external information. But you're able to set queries up on a schedule as well. This is an example here where people have been using it to kind of go out and look for like secondary degree effects of things that could be impacting the companies that they're following, and just have this running for all their various different watch lists. I'll slowly go through and let you look at the type of information it's bringing. And again, it's trying to focus here. I don't know how much Chris mentioned this at the beginning, but on information that investors are specifically going to care about. So a very popular query as well is the ability to redline any new 10Ks or 10Qs. So this, like a lot of them, we have a couple examples in here, like a 10K risk section redline, which we'll show you shortly. But these are really, you're really able to get any information that you would regularly be going into either of these documents for, or cross-referencing with old ones to see if there's new changes, like accounting changes. You are able to set those up in here, similar to the other ones. A small one, a couple things I will highlight here. We've found some people that have set these up on companies where they have often weren't even going into the 10Qs because they were filing them a couple weeks later. But you can often extrapolate some pretty interesting insights from here. An example on Bloom Energy with the sales cycle lengthening and a complete change in how the customers are purchasing this stuff and doing more customer-based financing here. So again, I'll quickly go over just how to set this one
I'm
up
going to
specifically.
interrupt you one more time, buddy. As we go through this, we've got a question in chat specifically about how we process Ks and Qs and generally how we support tables and text to make sure that in a situation like a press release, a 10K, 10Q, where there's a lot of tables and a lot of text, how do we make sure the model is maintaining the right context? This is an area where Hudson Labs specializes, we call it topic spans, but most people would call it context chunking or context engineering. Suhas, feel free to jump in if you want to add anything here. But one of the primary reasons you will see that huge differential between the screen I showed with GPT-5 or Perplexity when you ask for multi-period high precision information is that the information that the model sees during inference doesn't necessarily have all the context it needs to make the right decision. Our models, when we look for something like ARR, we're using synonyms, of course, but beyond that, we're not just picking out the ARR figure. We're also making sure that the model knows, is this a half-year figure? Is this actuals versus guidance? Is this a consolidated figure? Is this a segment figure? Did the company provide the information about whether this was in millions or billions early on? Is it in pesos or USD? All of that information makes it into the same context chunk. So the model is able to make the correct decision when it sees that ARR figure.
But just to highlight anyone looking to set up like a very simple example, I would obviously highlight or really recommend doing a 10K red line example. Um, um, and obviously this is what it's going to look like. So another more specific document trigger is you can do def 14As. These are very popular, obviously, for checking management incentives and checking any changes there, or management changes. So I'll just quickly go through and show you the output. I've showed you guys how to set up quite a number of them.
And you can see here at the top how most people don't do def 14A red lines just because it's complicated. But you can very clearly see here that the model is able to show you the carried interest program that was new in 2025 at Goldman Sachs, and highlighting that as new. So updates in incentive programs, updates in peer comps, updates in governance, very condensed, easy to understand proxy red lines. If that's a core part of your investment process, this is absolutely huge.
All right. So moving on. Another general like popular query that's been that people have been getting used from the platform, but even more with the automations is just finding read-throughs from a company's other companies reporting. I know a lot of people generally would have a kind of, I guess, secondary degree effect companies they follow that influence the companies they're actually investing in and trading on a regular basis. So one thing that we've done is set this up, and you are able to clearly see in a structured way how certain dynamics that this company is impacting might feed through to other companies. Obviously, currently in the platform, it's single company focused. We very strongly believe that once this goes into more multi-company, this type of functionality with automations is going to really dramatically impact the ability to extract new insights out of AI, versus just doing more process related work. We'll slowly go through, allow everyone to quickly look at the different type of impacts you're able to pull through. Me personally, I have these set up on a lot of the utilities names that are impacting a lot of the energy transition. Other common ones to set this up on are like the big banks that are influencing so much of the economy, and more general consumer names that are also like the heartbeats of the economy. Just to quickly show you, again, that's a query that we have as a suggested query. If you just search the read-throughs, you'll be able to set those up for yourself or create a more custom one with more specific information that you are looking for from that set of watch list companies. Another popular one, maybe among a lot more of the juniors in the work I used to do more myself. But it's kind of an interesting way to look at how there is the most generic earnings workflows you want to run. However, there's different types of queries you can run on those simple workflows. This is a good example of when a company is reporting, send me all of the most important information I would use to financially model this company. Not giving you an earnings breakdown, but actually trying to say, okay, what happened in this quarter versus historical quarters that would make me want to update my estimates versus what I saw historically. Another popular query people like to run with the 10 Qs is getting a very comprehensive breakdown of the debt and also identifying any major changes that have happened there or are expected to happen again in the future. As you can see here, I just kind of want to highlight some of the factors here where the models are doing a really good job at like breaking down every piece of the debt. I personally have tried to run these exact queries with generalist models, and what it's going to give back, for example, is like the general overall debt and commentary around that. But this is actually breaking down the debt, for example, by like recourse and non-recourse. And also the actual project level debt as well, if you're in a debt heavy industry.
Awesome, buddy. Let's just go through one more and then, or
Yep.
head to Suhas.
Yeah. I mean, we can send all these examples around after. So maybe let's just hand it over to Suhas right now. But generally, like I just mentioned, I will send all of these examples around to everyone.
And before we switch gears and go to Suhas, A, any questions? And B, anyone have willing to throw out an idea where they'd like to implement an automation? Or ideas for even more automations, things you'd like to see in the future, things you'd like to do right now. So right now, I'm getting notifications for changes to customer concentration and related party risk, updates to accounting policy changes, updates to financing for all new 10Qs coming out for my watch lists. And I think I'd keep track of those things, but I'm finding it quite illuminating. So definitely take this away and start experimenting. All right. Has everyone had a chance to type in something they're interested in seeing? Okay. Let's move on. We're going to welcome Suhas Pai to the stage. This is your chance to ask anything and everything, anonymously or not anonymously, to Suhas Pai. You can ask him stupid questions. You can ask him in-depth questions. We get a lot of questions about setting up AI systems internally. We get questions about setting up agents. We get questions about the outlook of the industry. So anything that's top of mind, now is your time to ask. Please don't be shy. We'd love to see a few questions in the chat. I'm going to curate the Q&A for now. So why don't we kick it off with the first one here? So Suhas, before I ask you any questions, anything you wanted to add to our presentation or to your intro?
Yeah, I think I have been using the Hudson Labs automations myself a lot, and the amount of queries is just bounded by your imagination. Like there are so many different types of use cases that we can support through this general framework. And it's not just the ones that are in the suggested queries, but there's you can think of anything that fits your workflow and your use case and set them up.
Absolutely. Okay, so the first question we have is, when I use ChatGPT, I'm uploading SEC filings and broker research right now. It seems when I upload too many PDFs, the answers get worse. Is that true? Why is it?
Yeah, so all the LLMs of today, they are limited by what we call context length. That's the size of the input that we present to the model. And as you may have seen, many of you may have seen, the context length for a lot of models, advertised context length is sometimes like 1 million tokens. That's like more or less 500,000 or more words which should theoretically accommodate hundreds of documents, but in reality, the actual or the effective context length is much less. It's usually 30,000 tokens or 20,000 words. So that is not even enough for a 10K. So what happens after 30,000 is the recall of the model. Its ability to recall all the information provided in the document comes down gradually from 100% to 99% and so on. Therefore, you'll see a gradual decrease in performance as you continue to add more documents. So the way to uh, deal with this, there is just to wait for the next GPT to make the context length even better. But other than that, one would have to use techniques like retrieval augmented generation or RAG, etc., to help fix those.
So as a follow-up to that, what would you recommend to the people on this webinar as tips for making sure they don't overextend ChatGPT's or another model's capabilities? What's a good rule of thumb for staying within those limits?
In terms of just, I guess, context length, understanding, I think the OpenAI website or the Anthropic website shows you the uh, supported context length, and that gives you like a kind of a theoretical upper bound on the maximum that it can accept. But for almost every model, it's just like 30,000 tokens. So
Give us a sense of what that looks like. What's
that
30,000
would be like a
tokens?
70
Also,
page
what's a
doc.
token?
Yeah, a token is here a unit of the smallest unit that the model accepts, which here can be a word or maybe a small part of a word. So common words would be represented by a single token. But if you have words in finance, so the other thing to note here, very specific to like yeah, the audience use cases is if you are using 10Ks and if you have tables in the document, etc., those are very token inefficient. So what that means is even if even if a table just encompasses a single page, they are counted as a lot of tokens because of the way that the numbers or even the row labels and the column labels, the way that they are organized is much more inefficient than normal English text would be. So if that's why a earnings call that is 10 pages long can be a few thousand tokens, but if a 10Q that has 60 pages is not 6 times more tokens, it's actually 11 or 12 times more tokens because of the existence of tables and because numbers get broken down. So if there is a number like 65,583, that whole number is not a single token. It gets broken down into multiple tokens and so on. So any document that contains numbers, tables, etc., leads to so that means you can't have big 100-page documents and expect good performance on them right off the bat. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess the very practical takeaway is you should not be doing 10K red lines using ChatGPT ever.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit in the context window, and single 10K analysis is also a little bit sketchy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna read this one from chat. I'm not sure I fully understand it, but maybe you can ask them to clarify. Given that LLMs are trained on text, would there be a point in time where LLMs would be capable to extract patterns from data without using external tools?
I'm they already
Yeah.
extract patterns from data, um, and they from the data that you provide as much as but it depends on what patterns are you looking for and what type of data it is. Right now, if you provide it with a table and provide it with two tables, ask it to compare numbers between these two tables, it's able to do a decent job. If you ask it to give it a table and ask it to find outliers, or provide some kind of a statistical analysis of the numbers, it's able to do that.
Just to, just if I could hop in, Suhas, a very specific example of where this works well in the co-analyst is like going through a lot of quarters and highlighting when margins are higher, when certain segments are a higher percent of revenue versus others. That's a good example of where it works in our platform.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I think part of the question said without using external tools. Yes, I think especially in the co-analyst, we are able to do math internally without depending on an external deterministic calculator now. So um, that means we are able to give faster results. We don't have to outsource the math to external software and then get the math results back, etc. So it's all done internally within the model.
Awesome. So I think you're going to like this next question. Before you answer it, maybe you can give a little bit of a background. But the question is, in financial research, confidence calibration feels critical. How do you think LLMs can be trained to know when they don't know? And maybe give a little bit of background as to why knowing when they don't know is important.
Yeah. I think that's a really good question. So it is the bane of LLMs, at least for the last few years. And even though they are being talked about less than they were last year, I think it's still a very important issue, is hallucinations. And, a textbook definition of hallucinations would be when the model outputs something that is not consistent with either its training data or the input that it's given. And why does that happen? It happens because LLMs, in general, they are not able to admit or say that they do not know when you are given a question that they do not know. Instead, they make it up. A common example would be when you upload something to ChatGPT and ChatGPT cannot parse the file because maybe it doesn't understand what format the file is in. It makes up a hypothetical file and gives you the answer based on the hypothetical file it generates. So that's one very common instantiation of a hallucination. And yes, confidence calibration it's basically when a LLM is confident, and internally we look at the probabilities that the model generates for a given output. Is it consistent with how correct it is? And the answer is it has been shown that the larger models are actually overconfident. So that means they can be highly confident about something, but they can be wrong about it. So being 90% confident about something doesn't mean they're correct 90% of the time. So the calibration is not as well as it should be. There are a few techniques to fix this, but none of them have been successful, which is why it's like the holy grail, which is to make the LLM say the we to tell the golden answer, I do not know. The reason is because you also do not want the model to be tied and refuse to answer in cases where it should know. And getting that right is very tricky. And we have tried that before at Hudson Labs, and I think what typically happens is you are not able to develop a clean boundary between what you know, because there are known unknowns and there is unknown unknowns. And it's not because we don't know what the unknown unknowns are. It's hard to um, train a model to say, I don't know, and expect it to give the answers to everything that it should know, because it will end up causing a lot of cases where it refuses answer for legitimate queries. Yeah. And maintaining the
So
balance is very hard.
to summarize that, so I would say we do a really good job of saying this information doesn't exist in source, which is not something you're able to get from a more generalist model. And right now there is a trade-off that you have to pick around not being able to answer some questions if you do want to consistently give I don't knows. Anything else to add to that quick summary there?
Yeah, I think that's about it. I think for Hudson Labs, one thing that we do really well is just if um, if there is a contradiction, that means if something doesn't exist in the source documents, we say that it doesn't exist in the source documents. That is one major type of hallucination that we just don't have in our systems, because we just say there is no, and we have verification steps embedded inside that check again whether there's something present in the source or not. And then, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so the next question here is simply, what do I need to know about prompting? Do you have any quick hacks? But maybe you could give the answer briefly for a generalist model like ChatGPT, and then also give the answer as it relates to the co-analyst. Also,
Yeah,
briefly.
that's a good question. I think for it's just like search engines in the past. When the earliest search engines came out, the ability to search was a skill that only a few people possessed. You had to know how to use the exact specific keywords in the exact specific ways. But over time, as search engines improved, you could just give anything you want. And similarly, that's what's happening for language models. But still, as of this moment, I think there's no prompting mantra. There's no like magic incantations that that some companies claim that there exist, and you will get all the things that you want. But in reality, I think what helps is being unambiguous. But that is tricky because language in general is supposed to be ambiguous for efficiency reasons, and uh, being unambiguous is similar to programming. So ironically, the best prompt would be if you write a program or a pseudocode or something that is more kind of much structured in nature, I would say. Um, and I think being just clear, precise, structured, tell the language model what you need in the output, and that's probably works well more than any prompting textbook would ever give. But that's for generalist models. For something like the co-analyst, we have kind of made it such that prompt engineering is obsolete. You don't need to work on hyper-specific prompts that you need to continually update over time as the co-analyst gets updated. You can just directly ask for what you need. Look at the suggested queries and see how they are phrased. It's very direct questions, get direct answers. And all of that is possible because there is under the hood, we have set it up such that there is no prompt engineering required, and that the model is anticipating it already is aware of a user's workflow. It is aware as in that it is operating in the financial domain, and it is catering towards a set of users who are interested in a certain, you know, aspects of the documents types that we cover. Yeah.
Awesome. So maybe our last one here, as we're running up in time. Oof, okay, there's a couple good ones, and we just got a new one. But I think here, yeah. What do you think is the future state of LLMs in equity research, and how does that relate to our roadmap? And the other one is about supporting idea generation. And so related.
Yeah. Future state of how LLMs. So I guess what we are seeing right now is just still the tip of the iceberg. As even at Hudson Labs, what we have been perfecting on in the last 2-3 years has been high precision information extraction from a large number of documents. And it can be like, okay, let's say summarize something from get metrics about this particular company for the last 8 quarters. And last 8 quarters would maybe mean getting it from 16 documents, 8 earnings calls, 8 earnings releases. And we are able to do that with more or less or 100% accuracy, actually. And that is just the beginning. What's coming up soon is what if we scale it up to from 16 to 64 documents to maybe 100 documents? So that means instead of asking 8 quarters, maybe to get the bigger picture, you want that to be known across 20 quarters, the last 5 years. And not just last 5 years, maybe let's say last 10 years. Let's go all the way up to 40 quarters. And that would be 40 quarters, 80 documents. And maybe it's not just that you want to get something from the earnings call and the earnings release. It could be getting something from the web, getting something from 10K, 10Q, etc. And yeah, so scaling up the number of data sources that we can collate from and still maintain 100% accuracy. That's what kind of we are moving towards, and that's like provided with advances in both retrieval and what we call as agents, which at the beginning of the presentation we had the textbook definition of agents. The way that the language model decides what to search for, when to search for, and how to search.
I'm just going to jump
Yeah.
in pretty super quickly here. So Suhas talked about being able to scale the long context problem across a lot of documents, but want to bring that back to your workflow specifically. Where that's most impactful, or we see that being most impactful, is in things like really detailed peer comparisons. So one thing that we hear a lot is that multi-company workflows break down very, very quickly, no matter what tool you're using. But by being able to expand from right now, we can do 20 press releases with 100% accuracy. By making that go 100% accuracy guarantee increase to many, many more, we can get a 20 company watch list, all of the information in one run, compile it for you in one run with similar levels of speed. It facilitates thematic workflows, being able to look at an entire sector, and also idea generation, which might be a little bit less detailed, but still involves a lot of information processing.
Yeah, exactly. I think, yeah, just the number of documents not only refers to documents of a single company, but expanding in scale to cover multitude of documents. And that also helps in idea generation, where you can say, given companies in this particular sector, all companies in the biomedical sector find something that satisfies a particular criteria. And it can be like intersection of 5 different criteria that you can't quantify. Soft criteria. Soft criteria could be something like strong management record that is held by.
Recent announcement of a defense contract.
Yeah. And yeah, so which is not something that you can necessarily deduce by picking up some number, but needs more qualitative understanding of it. And that is also something we are working towards and looking to put it up on on our platform soon.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all for joining us. If you have any follow-up questions, you can reach us at you should hopefully already know this, but you can always reach us at info@hudson-labs.com or reach out to us through the website. Thank you all. And yeah, please don't hesitate to give us a shout.
Thank you, everyone.